Alright, so if you haven't already done so, we're going to download the exercise 6A floor plan DWG file. And I've got mine open. It's the one I've been working on to show and talk about units. We're also going to be using a sketch to work off of. So you can download that or just open it up and take a look at it if you'd like to. We got 2 monitors. Why, that'd be the best. That's what we're going to do is we're going to work on a little architectural project. And before you throw me to the wolves here, look, I don't think that this has any chance of winning any awards in the Architectural Digest magazine. But the idea is to teach you some basics of architectural and construction document creation so that you're able to make some simple drawings related to this field, because everything up to this point has been mechanical in nature. The basics of our project, or the basic concept, is that we are taking a garage, a 2-car garage that is 24 feet by 24 feet, and we are converting it into a small apartment with 3 different areas: a bath area, a bedroom area, and a kitchen living area. So while we're not going to learn any amazing architectural design techniques, we will learn some basics of architectural drafting using AutoCAD. Okay, so I'm going to go over to AutoCAD, and here is that exercise 6A floor plan drawing. And you can, of course, start an architectural drawing using any file, a blank file, a clean file would be fine. But I stuck some things into this that will make it a little bit more fun in the end, I think. So I'm going to get rid of the lines I drew here. And get rid of anything else in the drawing area. And let's go on to our step of drawing setup. So, drawing setup is what we need to do before we can get a project started. And there's a lot of stuff that we've learned how to do that we don't want to put off till the end. We want to set it up at the beginning. So our first step, decide what kind of units you're going to be working with. So now if you take a look at the dimensions up here, 24 feet by 24 feet, then we should understand that we're going to be using units that involve feet and inches. And in AutoCAD, we really can't do that using the decimal units, right? So UN, shortcut for units, we need to pick a unit format that uses feet and inches. And there are 2, right? There are engineering units and there are architectural units. And honestly, of the 2, I would say architectural units are the ones we want to use because they work with feet, inches, and fractions of an inch in common fraction. Change your precision down to 1/16 of an inch. Okay, and then for angles, leave it on decimal degrees and leave the precision to the nearest degree. That should be fine. All right, so drawing units are now set up. Let's talk about limits. The bottom left corner is 0, 0. We want that, we'll keep that. Now it says the top right corner is 1 foot to the right and 9 inches in the Y. And obviously, if we look at our structure here, this is not enough. We need a lot more space than this. So how much space do we need? Well, you need at least 24 feet in the X and 24 feet in the Y. So knowing that, let's just come up with a number that's bigger than 24 feet. If it's 24 feet exactly, well, then you've got no room to put dimensions around it, right? So here's a good general rule: double it. If it's 24 feet by 24 feet, make it 48 feet in the X. And then since the screen is a rectangle, that's long ways left to right, I'm going to go 48 feet left to right and 36 feet in the Y direction. So back in AutoCAD, my upper right corner, 48 feet, comma, 36 feet. And please, for the love of goodness, make sure that you're using... See, if all you do is type in 48, comma 36, you're not going to get 48 feet by 36 feet. You're going to get 48 inches by 36 inches. You'll get 4 feet by 3 feet. And I mean, we're not designing a dollhouse. We're designing a real house, right? So make sure the foot mark is included. All right, so 48 feet, comma 36 feet, hit enter. And if you double click your wheel, click, click, now you are zoomed all the way out. Okay, now if you're wondering, hey, where the heck is my grid? Well, let's go to the grid settings. So the grid setting is set to 1/4 inch, and it's set to a major line every 4 lines, so every inch. The fact is we're just too far out. We're just zoomed too far out to see the grid. Okay, so as you zoom back in, you'll see the grid, but when we double click the extents, we're zoomed so far out we can't see it. Is that a big deal? Well, you could go in and you can change the spacing. You can change your spacing on your grid and your snap to every foot. Okay, and then look, there's the grid again, but not 1/2 inch spaces or 1/4 inch spaces. Now we're working with 1 foot spaces. So if you like having the grid on, go for it. Okay, taking a look at our sketch again, we see it's a rectangle. It's a perfect square, 24 feet by 24 feet. So my first step will be to draw the outside walls, right? But before I start drawing, I should probably set up some layers. So we'll make a new layer, and the first thing we're going to draw is walls. So set up a layer for walls. We see in our sketch that there are several other elements. There are windows, and there are doors, and there is text. So let's make layers for those two. Windows, doors, text. Okay, and this will at least get us started. Walls we'll leave white, continuous, but we'll make them a little heavier because the walls are kind of important. Let's make the walls 0.4 millimeters. And we'll set the walls as the current layer. And you can pick a starting point anywhere you want. And then we're going to make a 24 foot by 24 foot square. So for me, I'm going to go at 24 feet, comma, 24 feet. I'll use a couple of coordinates. And in doing so, I've got my outside line to show the footprint of the building. I'll turn on my line weight button, and we have our 24 by 24. And of course, there's nothing wrong with checking things. Click, click with the distance tool. Make sure down here it says 24 feet. Because if it says 24, then that's 24 inches. And again, you're working too small. Okay, so let's proceed. We see that on an architectural drawing or construction documents that walls are not a single line. Walls actually have some thickness. It's a double line, and sometimes it's filled in like this with poche. But for us, we can just draw 2 lines to represent a wall. So what we'll do is we will go back to our drawing, go to our offset tool, and we will set the distance for 6. Now, walls aren't really exactly 6 inches thick, but for the sake of what we're doing, 6 inches is a good round number to work with, and we'll work with it. We're going to go and we're going to select the wall, and we're going to go inward so that the building doesn't get bigger, but stays the size we intended it to be. And now we have the inside surface of the wall 6 inches in from the outside of the wall. It'd be a pretty poor structure, though, if we went in and there was only one big room. I mean, I guess most 2-car garages are like that, but we're trying to turn this into something that's a little bit more suitable for living in, maybe for a college student, or maybe if someone owned property and they had a garage that they weren't using, converting it into a little rental unit, rental property. So what can we do? Well, we're going to have to break it up a little bit, right? So I'm going to go and I'm going to draw some more lines. I'm going to get a line from the midpoint of that wall to that wall, and then another line from the midpoint of that wall to this wall. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to break this up into those 3 areas we saw: a bath, a bedroom, and a living and kitchen area. Okay, so just find the midpoint along those inside wall edges and divide it up like this. And then to complete the wall, I guess we could offset the line 3 inches to the left, 3 inches to the right, 3 inches up, 3 inches down. We'll get rid of our original lines, and then we will go in and clean up, trim up our corners so that everything is flush and flows together. Alright, and that's a pretty decent looking little structure we got going so far. Alright, so get this part done, and then we will proceed on. Now, we see another element to the building besides the walls, are doors. So what we're looking at is this is the door panel right here, the line. And then there's an arc, it's a quarter of a circle, and the arc represents the swing that the door opens up on. And maybe you've seen this. If you're walking around the campus, you look on the floor, you see a bunch of quarter circles or half circles painted. Well, that's to tell you, hey, look out, if you stand there and that door opens up, you're going to get whacked with it, right? So it's good to know where the door is going to open and what it opens up across. Sometimes people don't take those things into account, and it makes all kinds of mess. If you want a good laugh, go on Google and Google door hits toilet, and you'll see what I'm talking about. There is just an unending variety of these things that require all kinds of countermeasures, I guess you could say, after the fact. That's my favorite one right there. I like that a lot. And not even just things like toilets, also lights. Here we got a door banging into the hanging fixture. There's a bunch of these too. I love these architectural mishaps that come from improper planning. So let's go back to our drawing. We want to show the swing of the door as well as the door. So we draw the line and we draw an arc for the line. Notice too that there is a gap. There is a gap where the door goes, and we're going to have to erase the wall where the door is going to be. So we're going to set up our gap first. Let's go down and let's go find, we have a door right here in the middle. We'll set that one up first. So we're going to draw a line at the midpoint of this wall, and then we're going to talk about our doors. How big are the doors? So I'm going to do an offset of 1'6", and I'll offset 1'6" to the left and 1'6" to the right. And I offset 1'6", because then when you go in and you measure, right, it's 3 feet. And we're going to make some 3-foot wide doors. So I'll go in and I'll trim out the opening. Right, and that's going to be the area where the door goes. Now up here and over here we have doors also. And we're going to have to talk about setting the door up correctly. Doors will never go exactly into the corner. There's always going to be a little bit of wall for the door to hang on to, for the jamb and the hinge to attach to. So there's this little ear of wall sticking out before the door begins. And that's the case here, and that's the case over here too. So we're going to decide, I think, a safe amount of space will be the thickness of the wall, so 6 inches. So I'm going to go over here and draw a little line, and then I'm going to move it over to the right 6 inches, and then I'm going to offset it 3 feet. And that's my opening for this room. Now I need the same thing over here, and of course we love copy, because copy means we never have to draw things twice. So watch this, copy from this corner to this corner. And when you copy from corner to corner, you've also preserved that little 6-inch space that we were trying to keep, like we had over here. All right, we'll go in and we'll trim and we'll trim. And we've got our large room, we've got our 2 smaller rooms, so we've got door openings. So everything we've done so far has been on the walls layer. These are the walls, very important. They represent the structure. Now we're going to move down, and we're going to go to a new layer. The layer will be doors, and then, you know what, for your drawing, Why don't you just pick any color you want that looks good on your black background? I picked cyan. Okay, so cyan doors. The door, the way you draw it, is like this. We're going to draw a line 3 feet long, and then we're going to draw a line perpendicular to it 3 feet long, and then we're going to draw a circle with a radius of 3 feet. Okay, now if you're wondering why I drew Pac-Man and not a door, it's because the door's there. See, I'm going to trim away that part of Pac-Man, and I'm going to get rid of this. And there you have it. 3 foot long line, quarter of a circle with a 3 foot arc for the radius. And then what we can do is we can take it and we can grab it, we can move it, and we can stick it there. And now the door is in the door opening. Now sometimes the symbols we make, like this door, right? We're going to reuse it over and over and over again. And we're also going to copy it and probably move it and rotate it around quite a bit. So we want to do something so that it's not just made up of an arc and a line. It'd be nice if we could just click it and it would all behave like a single object. And there is a way to do that. There's several ways. Probably the easiest way to do it, though, is to do something called making a group. So you'll see up on your ribbon, you should have a panel called Groups. And the group panel has a big button for creating groups, making a new group. It's also got a little button here to turn on grouping and to turn off grouping. And yours should be on. Yours should have a blue frame around it, or the button should appear pressed in with that blue haze. So here's how it works. We can click on group, and the question is to select the objects that we want to group together. And just from a very simple way of using the command, I'll select those 2 elements, the line and the arc. I'll hit enter, and now something interesting happens. When you click on it now, do you see what's going on? Do you see how the line and the arc are kind of attached to each other? Now, we didn't join them together. We grouped them together. And you'll see that a group, when you select it, has a little light gray box around it and a grip in its dead center. That's how you know it's a group. And of course, the nice thing about it is moving or copying goes very easy because you can select all the elements of a group very quickly just by selecting on one element. So there's my door, and I will click it, and I will go to copy, and I will copy it from that corner to this corner, and I will copy it from that corner down to this corner. And now I have 3 doors that are grouped geometry. Now, once you make a group, it doesn't mean you can never go back in there and modify it. Okay, you can. The way you do that is this button here. This button is to turn off grouping. So right now, if I click on this, it's grouped. If I turn the button off, see, it's not grouped right now. Right now, it's just an arc, and it's just a line. And if I turn grouping back on, it'll go back to behaving like a group. So why would you want to turn off grouping? Well, I don't know, maybe what you want to do is you want to make a modification to your group. So you have to revert it back into geometry, and now you make your change, and then you turn grouping back on, and when you click it, well, now it's still a group, right? And what did I do? I just added a little bit of extension beyond the 90 degrees there for the arc. So notice though how changing this group did not change this group or this group. See, groups are a simple way of combining a bunch of geometric elements into a single symbol or a single entity, but changing one does not affect any of the others. Okay? So when grouping is on, everyone behaves like a group, and groups are independent. When grouping is off, everything is back to just acting like plain geometry. Okay, I'm going to go back and undo that because I really don't want that little extension. I thought it looked nice and it looked dumb, and I'm not too interested in it. And here we are. We've got doors into our building that match the little sketch we're working off of. Things look pretty good. Our next element will be to go on to make some windows.